Hey, my name is Joe McShinsky, and this is Heatwave from Transformers Rescue Bots. So Heatwave from Transformers Rescue Bots is a fire truck, and he has a driver Cade that goes around and rescues people, puts out fires, all that fun stuff, right? So my son was hugely into Transformers Rescue Bots a few years ago, and I had built the costume for his birthday party. After seeing my brother's Optimus Prime be built, and that was just really cool to see that process and see everything that he had done with it. It was one of those things that I had to build. And I had to do it for his birthday since he was so into it to Transformers at that time. So this is his helmet, and you probably can't hear me very good, so I'll take it off. This is his head. It's made from a hard hat here, as well as this is all cardboard that comes around the outside. The visor piece is it's like a reflective material. You can see pretty easily out of it. I'll put it over the camera here. You might be able to get an okay view. You can see me okay through there? It held up pretty well. It's basically built out of everything in this costume is hot glued together. We've got this piece up here, all cardboard. This is actually a sticker that I put on here, and it has held up real well. Each one of these pieces, this is 3 layers right here. The red, gray, and the dark gray is 3 separate layers. And then this is 3 layers of this curved cardboard as well on the side to give him his ear. So that's the headpiece. It's very, because of the shape of the face, very recognizable to anybody that watches the show. Two things that are my favorite of this costume. One, the helmet, because it's fun seeing that face. And 2, the hands with the axe. So this one here is really one of my favorite pieces of the costume. Built-in prop as part of the arm. So most photos that I get with people at a convention, whatnot, I'm always doing something with it, putting it up to like their necks, or kind of chopping at them, something that gives it a little bit more action to the pose. And a common question that I get with this costume, I'll flip that around that way so you can see it. A common question I get with this costume is the hands, and I'll kind of get up a little bit closer for you here. These are lacrosse gloves, and there's 2 main types of lacrosse gloves that I have found at thrift stores. There's fabric ones, and then there's this where it has like this plastic material on top of it. I've purchased both types, and the plastic type material is way better. The fabric ones you can paint on it like 300 times and it just keeps soaking in that paint, whereas this plastic covered lacrosse type glove just sits right on top of it. I've had to do touch-ups, like I need to do some touch-ups on it now, but it takes that paint real well, works great. I'm going to get to the material that I use here when I do the legs, but this is just a training wheel, painted the inside of it, bolted it on, and this is some 5mm plywood that is also riveted on through the side of this material. I did the same thing here, a little bit different of a design on this arm to match the character on the show. Same thing with the training wheel here, and then the axe and I guess you could say the hand part going down to it is a combination. This axe is one that you would find at a Halloween store, and it works really well, especially painted up with the energized blue to be able to give the effect that it's all part of some action that's happening with the character. Everything else coming up here is, I believe this is 3/4 pipe, and then basically just adapters, and that has a 3-inch, if I remember right, to 4-inch. Anyway, it's just a bunch of adapter pipes, and on the inside, I don't know if you can see this very good, I have a bar that just happened to fit in there just right from some scrap pieces that I have. And it's bolted in. On both sides it has a bolt. So instead of my hand free floating and it just kind of falling off all the time, I'm actually grabbing onto a bar on the inside to allow me to move it very easily. For my build here, I did a one-piece torso with a single back piece hinged on one side. It is essentially a box, really. This whole thing is cardboard, and all I did here, I don't know how well you can see this, it comes straight down and cut it into a couple angles here, which did make it a bit tricky when I had to bring the side piece here in and then down. It all, months to build and whatnot, so it was definitely a process getting all these angles figured out. But this is at the same level as this. I've got the border of the windshield is one piece of cardboard that I've glued on top in order to give it some 3D depth to it. So it's all pretty square-ish, except what I've cut in and then laid on as pieces on top of it. A lot of kids will recognize this as Heatwave from Transformer Rescue Bots, but some of the adults don't, and so by having the Transformer symbol here, it makes it a little bit more obvious to them to say, oh, okay, yes, he's actually a Transformer and not from another show. Now on the back, all of this here is all fence post. It's all just about 1.25 inches or so fence post, and the way it's all held on is there's some little L brackets and rivets. So you can't see anything of what's holding it on besides some of these straps holding the door on itself. This thinner material here, this plastic, it just bolts through the back of the plastic into these bars, and on the inside of these bars, to be able to keep it steady, well, not a little bit loose, but keep it a little bit more steady is where those little L brackets are holding everything together. Now the lights up top are two-part. They started out as some regular red, basically taillights or stoplights that you could get at pretty much any hardware store. And I had them on here. They just have some 12-volt bulbs in them, and they worked okay. They would flash, and you could see them. And I had to have in here 2 of those. I think they were the 6-volt. It's been years since I put them in there, but 2 of those big 6-volt batteries in here, and I had 2 of them in here so I could get the 12, and it just was heavy batteries in the front that my shoulders were always just really tired after the fact. And what I ended up doing was I stripped out the bulb, the 12-volt bulb part of it. I had some other LED lights that are these little round, yay big, yay tall, that were, they had little flashers built into them. I had them for another project that I ended up scrapping, so I pulled the LED flashers out of the inside of those, and I put them on the inside of these. So that way, having the little LEDs, I didn't have to have the big 6-volt batteries, and I can run on the 9 volts. I actually have a little up converter in there from 9 to 12, but I can run off of those 9s. I'm going to switch on this side. For the leg. Starting on the side, we have just another training wheel that's a little bit bigger. Actually, I'm not even sure if it actually is a training wheel, but I found it at the thrift store. It's bolted down. I'm going to flip this around for 2 things. One, so you can see this thin material, this plastic. This, I don't even know where to buy it. You might be able to get it from a hardware store, I'm not sure. My brother-in-law works for a company that uses this, and they were getting rid of a lot of scrap for this, and usually they just throw it away. So talking to him one day, I found out that he could just bring some home. It was just going to the dumpster anyway, and I wanted to give it a shot to make some of this costume out of. And it's a good material. It's nice and solid. Even down here is made out of the same material, so when you're walking around on a hard floor, you kind of get a scrapey, clunky sound. And so it's not my favorite sound, but I do get a lot of feedback from people saying, oh, it makes it sound that much more like a Transformer and that much more fun. So I don't mind it at all. It's not a material that I have access to anymore, and so I have some of it left in the garage, but I don't use it on any future projects, and there's a couple, and that's just one of the reasons for that, being that I don't have access to any more material in case I run out. The other half to that reason that I don't use this material anymore is this weak point right here. I don't know if you can see, there's one crack right here, there's another crack right here, my other leg has a couple more cracks right here, and mostly that's by design, really. If I were, say, 3 inches shorter, this would hit me just right. And that I would hinge right here on my ankle. I could probably even sit down if I wanted to in this costume. If this hinged on my knee pit right, to be able to go down like that. But this is definitely one of the weak points in this costume, is this plastic breaks. And so this is where I spend most of my time fixing it after a convention. As far as construction goes, this material and the shapes I had to do with it, even though it's simplistic shapes, this material was the trickiest part of the build. And that is, again, partially due to construction. All of these interfaces between the two of them, they fold back about like this. And then I put a couple rivets through on the inside. So not only do I have to bend that way back and have it match up lengthwise and everything, but then I've got to get either pre-drill, which doesn't usually work to get it in the right spot for both of them to match up, or drill after the fact, and hopefully my drill can get in there, and the riveting hand tool. So this is absolutely one of the most trickiest spots in this costume to build. Question that I get on this costume is footwear. This I have a habit of putting shoes in costumes, so I'm working my way up to having as many pairs of shoes as my wife, except they're all built into costumes. I just built the shoe directly into the legs. So I've seen a few different costumes where they use pressure around the leg, or they use a connection to the pants, so your foot moves freely inside of it and whatnot. But this is just one method that I've found I kind of stick with for my costumes to be able to move my legs easily. So I just slide my foot in, and we're good to go. And what we have here is what I wear under the costume. This is just a gray base. I'm basically hiding myself under the costume. Alright, so I've got all my pieces here. I'm ready to put everything on, and one quick note to this that I forgot to mention earlier is anything that I would do differently on this costume. And yes, there are a couple things. I already talked about the legs. The second item is this cardboard here is really flexible. I hope that's in the camera. This cardboard is really flexible. On newer costumes, I actually have that same 5mm plywood that I've got from the legs as a single piece right here at the top. So I don't get any flexibility out of it. It's a little more impact on the shoulders, but I get a lot more stability out of the costume. And basically, after wearing it all day, this thing just creeps up and up and up, and it starts to look a little bit odd. So that's just one of the few things that I would change about it, and that's it. So I'm going to go ahead and do a time lapse of putting this all on. So I do need usually you'll need an assistant for it. Just put the buckles on for the back, gloves, and helmet. If there's two of you in costume, it can get a little bit tricky. My brother and I have a little system down where, he does my helmet, then I get his gloves, and then he gets my gloves, and I do his helmet. And it's fun, and having the handler definitely helps. So.